I watched an Amish woman load 6 gallons of the same cheap product into a buggy outside a Walmart in Ohio. 20 minutes later, I understood how her family of 6 eats home-cooked meals for less money than most Americans spend feeding 2 people. The average American family throws away hundreds of dollars every month without even realizing it. But the Amish solved that problem generations ago, using one simple ingredient that costs less than a fast food meal. By the end of this video, you'll know how a single $3 gallon can preserve food longer, replace expensive household products, make homemade cheese, and completely change the way you think about your grocery bill. I want you to stop what you are doing and walk to your kitchen right now. Open the cabinet under your sink, or the drawer next to your stove, or wherever you keep the things you use every day without thinking about them. I want you to find the one item that every Amish household in Holmes County, Ohio, has in quantity. Not 1, not 2, but stacked and stored and restocked the way most American families stock paper towels. If you cannot find it, do not worry. It costs $3 at Walmart. It is in the cleaning aisle. You have walked past it 100 times without stopping. I am going to tell you what it is in 4 minutes. But first, I need to tell you what happened at a Walmart parking lot in Millersburg, Ohio, on a Tuesday morning in October. That changed the way I think about every grocery receipt I have ever thrown away. Stay with me, because the number at the end of this video is going to be the most useful number you have heard all year. And the item in your hand is going to be the reason you never pay full price for the things your family eats most often again. I had been in Holmes County for 3 days already. I had visited 2 farms, sat in 2 kitchens, eaten 2 meals. I was driving back toward Millersburg on Route 83 on a Tuesday morning when I saw something that stopped me. An Amish woman in a full dark dress and white prayer covering was walking out of a Walmart. Amish families shop at Walmart. They shop at Aldi, at local farm supply stores, at dollar stores. What stopped me was what she was carrying. A flat cart, loaded with cases of a single item. Not food, not fabric, cases of white distilled vinegar. The 1-gallon jugs. She had 6 of them. 6 1-gallon jugs of white distilled vinegar. I pulled over. I introduced myself. Her name was Sadie. She was 53 years old, farming outside Walnut Creek. She stood in that parking lot for 22 minutes while I took notes on my phone and the wind came off the fields. 22 minutes, 6 gallons of white distilled vinegar, and a grocery bill that she told me ran between $60 and $80 a week. For a family of 6 eating 3 full meals a day, 7 days a week, from scratch, $60 to $80 a week. The average American household of 4 spent $475.20 per month on groceries in 2023. That is roughly $118 per week for 4 people. The item is white distilled vinegar, 5% acidity. The gallon jug, the one that costs between $2.50 and $3.25. The one you probably have one of somewhere, used occasionally for cleaning or as a cooking ingredient, replaced every 8 to 14 months. Sadie goes through a gallon every 10 days. Not because she is cleaning with it exclusively. Not because she is cooking with it exclusively. Because she is using it as the foundational input for a food preservation, ingredient production, and a cleaning system. That eliminates entire categories of grocery spending from her family's monthly budget. I am going to go through every use she described in that parking lot, in the order she described them, because the sequence matters. Each use builds on the same gallon. Nothing is wasted. By the time the last use of each gallon is complete, it has replaced products that would have cost between $40 and $60 at retail prices. That is the math. $3 of vinegar replacing $40 to $60 of store-bought products, applied across 6 primary uses. The annual savings for a family running a full household is between $2,000 and $3,000. That is not the grocery bill cut in half. That is the grocery bill restructured from the ground up. The first use is the one most people know about, but almost nobody does at scale. Produce washing. Every piece of fresh produce that enters Sadie's kitchen, every apple, every head of lettuce, every potato, every carrot, is washed in a solution of 1 part white vinegar to 3 parts water before it is stored, not before it is eaten. Before it is stored. The acetic acid in white vinegar at 5% concentration kills surface bacteria, mold spores, and the majority of pesticide residues. Produce washed in a vinegar solution before storage lasts between 30 and 60% longer than unwashed produce. The mold spores that cause berries to go soft, lettuce to brown, and stone fruit to develop spots within days of purchase are killed. Sadie's family wastes almost no produce. The USDA estimates that the average American household throws away between 30 and 40% of fresh produce. At the average American household grocery spend, that is between $50 and $80 of food per month going directly into the trash. Sadie's vinegar wash eliminates the majority of that loss. Not by changing what she buys, by changing what happens to it the moment it enters her kitchen. The wash costs pennies per batch. The produce it saves costs dollars per pound. The second use is cheese production. And this is the one that most people who learn about it for the first time cannot believe is as simple as it is. White distilled vinegar is an acid coagulant. When added to heated whole milk at the right temperature and in the right ratio, it causes the milk proteins to separate from the whey and form curds. Those curds, drained and pressed, are fresh farmer's cheese. Mild, fresh, slightly tangy, fully functional as a cooking ingredient, a spread, a filling, or a standalone food. The ratio is this: 1 gallon of whole milk heated to just below a simmer, approximately 185 to 190 degrees Fahrenheit. Remove from heat. Add 1/3 cup of white distilled vinegar. Stir gently once. Let sit undisturbed for 5 minutes. The milk separates visibly into white curds floating in yellowish whey. Drain through a cheesecloth-lined colander. Salt the curds to taste. Press the curds under a weight for 30 minutes to an hour, depending on desired firmness. That is the entire process. 15 minutes of active time. 1 gallon of whole milk. 1/3 cup of vinegar. The result is approximately 1.5 pounds of fresh farmer's cheese. 1 gallon of whole milk costs between $3 and $4 at current prices. 1/3 cup of vinegar from a $3 gallon costs roughly 8 cents. The 1.5 pounds of farmer's cheese produced from this process costs the equivalent retail price of between $9 and $14. Sadie produces this cheese twice a week. The savings over purchasing equivalent fresh cheese at retail is between $6 and $10 per production cycle, or between $48 and $80 per month. The whey left after straining, the yellowish liquid that most people pour down the drain, is the third use. Sadie keeps every drop of it. The second use is cheese production. Most people cannot believe it's as simple as it is. White distilled vinegar is an acid coagulant. When added to heated whole milk, it separates proteins into curds. Those curds, drained and pressed, are fresh farmer's cheese. Mild, fresh, and fully functional as a cooking ingredient or standalone food. The ratio is this: 1 gallon of whole milk heated to just below a simmer, approximately 185 to 190 degrees Fahrenheit. Remove from heat. Add 1/3 cup of white distilled vinegar. Stir gently once. Let sit undisturbed for 5 minutes. The milk separates visibly into white curds floating in yellowish whey. Drain through a cheesecloth-lined colander. Salt the curds to taste. Press the curds under a weight for 30 minutes to an hour, depending on desired firmness. That is the entire process. 15 minutes of active time. 1 gallon of whole milk. 1/3 cup of vinegar. The result is approximately 1.5 pounds of fresh farmer's cheese. 1 gallon of whole milk costs between $3 and $4. 1/3 cup of vinegar costs roughly 8 cents. The 1.5 pounds of farmer's cheese produced costs the equivalent retail price of between $9 and $14. Sadie produces this cheese twice a week. The savings are between $6 and $10 per cycle, or $48 to $80 per month. The whey left after straining, the yellowish liquid most people pour down the drain, is the third use. Sadie keeps every drop. Whey is not a waste product. It is a protein-rich, mildly acidic liquid that the food industry sells as a premium ingredient. Protein powder manufacturers buy whey by the tanker load. Sports nutrition brands sell it in 5-pound tubs for $40 to $60. Sadie's cheese production generates approximately 3 quarts of whey per gallon of milk. She uses it in 4 ways, eliminating grocery budget items. She uses it as the liquid in bread baking, replacing water in any bread, roll, or flatbread recipe. The protein content of whey improves texture and crumb structure. Mild acidity activates baking soda more efficiently. Bread baked with whey rises more reliably, stays softer longer, and has a depth of flavor that water-based bread does not have. Sadie's family has not bought store bread in 11 years. She uses it to soak grains and legumes. Dried beans, lentils, oats, and whole grains soaked in whey overnight break down their phytic acid content. This compound inhibits mineral absorption and contributes to digestive discomfort, more effectively broken down than with plain water. This makes nutrients more bioavailable and significantly reduces cooking time, which reduces fuel consumption. These are not separate benefits. They are the same action, producing multiple returns, a pattern in every Amish household practice. She uses whey as a natural meat tenderizer and marinade base. The acidity and enzyme content break down tough muscle fibers. This works more effectively than commercial tenderizing products on cheaper cuts of meat. A $2 chuck roast soaked in whey for 8 hours produces a result indistinguishable from a cut costing 3 times the price. Sadie buys the cheaper cuts. She always has. And she uses the last of the whey, the portion not used in cooking, diluted in water as a garden fertilizer. Whey is high in calcium and potassium. Diluted 1 part whey to 5 parts water, it feeds soil biology and reduces the need for purchased fertilizer. This is not a primary grocery saving, but it's part of the same closed-loop thinking that makes every input generate multiple returns. The fourth use brings us back to the vinegar directly. This use generates the largest single-line item saving on Sadie's list. Sadie does not buy commercial cleaning products, not window cleaner, surface spray, bathroom cleaner, or floor cleaner. Her entire household cleaning chemistry is built from 3 ingredients: white distilled vinegar, baking soda, and dish soap. The surface cleaner she uses on every countertop, table, appliance, and food preparation area is a 50-50 solution of white distilled vinegar and water. At 50% dilution, the acetic acid concentration is sufficient to kill most common household bacteria, including E. coli and Salmonella. This is published data from the American Journal of Infection Control, which most people never read. The cleaning products industry spends $2 billion per year on advertising to ensure you reach for a branded spray bottle. An all-purpose surface cleaner costs $4 to $6 per 20-ounce bottle. She uses the equivalent of 3 bottles per week. That is $12 to $18 per week in surface cleaner, replaced with white vinegar and water at a cost of approximately 30 cents. The bathroom cleaner, floor solution, and Produce Safe surface cleaner are all variants of the same base mixture with minor adjustments. Baking soda added to vinegar creates a mild abrasive. A few drops of dish soap create a surfactant solution that cuts grease. 3 ingredients. Every cleaning need in the house addressed. Sadie's annual cleaning product expenditure is approximately $40. The average American household spends $600 to $800. That difference is not a lifestyle sacrifice. The surfaces in Sadie's kitchen are clean. Her dishes are clean. Her bathroom is clean. The difference is the absence of brand loyalty to products that are 90% water and marketing. The fifth use is the one I found most surprising, with direct implications for reducing monthly grocery spend on beverages and condiments. Sadie makes her own apple cider vinegar, not from purchased apples, but from apple scraps, cores, peels, and end pieces. She puts the scraps in a jar, covers them with water, adds a tablespoon of sugar, covers with cheesecloth, and leaves it for 2 to 3 weeks. Natural wild yeast ferments the sugar into alcohol, and the alcohol oxidizes into acetic acid. The result is raw, unfiltered apple cider vinegar with the mother. The same product costs $6 to $12 per bottle at health food stores. The scrap apples cost nothing. The sugar costs pennies. The cheesecloth costs pennies. The resulting product costs approximately 8 cents per cup. Sadie uses this apple cider vinegar for health remedies, salad dressings, marinades, fruit wash, and as a hair rinse. A bottle of commercial conditioner costs $4 to $8 and lasts 3 to 4 weeks. The apple cider vinegar hair rinse costs nothing and produces softer, less breakage-prone hair. This is not a beauty video, but a grocery bill video. Cleaning and personal care represent 15 to 20% of the total monthly bill. Sadie's apple scrap vinegar eliminates the majority of her condiment, health supplement, and personal care purchases simultaneously. The sixth use is the one Sadie described last, in a tone suggesting she considered it the most obvious. Fabric softener. Half a cup of white distilled vinegar added to the rinse. Cycle softens fabric by neutralizing alkaline residue from laundry detergent. It does not leave a vinegar smell on the finished laundry. The smell dissipates completely during the spin cycle and drying. The result is laundry with the same softness as commercial fabric softener at a cost of 2 cents per load versus 12 to 15 cents. Sadie's family generates approximately 10 loads of laundry per week on a working farm. The difference is $1.20 per week, or $62.40 per year. That is not a life-changing number in isolation, but it is also not nothing. It is the sum of 6 uses from a single $3 gallon of vinegar. Collectively, these save Sadie between $2,000 and $3,000 per year that the average American household spends. I want to come back to the parking lot. Sadie said something when we were wrapping up the conversation that I had been thinking about for months. I asked her if she thought about these practices as saving money. She considered the question carefully. Then she said no. She did not think about them as saving money, because saving money implies you had the money and chose not to spend it. She said her family never had the money in the first place, so there was nothing to save. There was only the decision about what things actually required, and what things only appeared to require because someone was selling the appearance. That is a sentence I want you to hold on to. The decision about what things actually require, and what things only appear to require because someone is selling the appearance. The appearance being sold to you every week in every grocery store in America is that clean surfaces require a branded spray bottle. That soft laundry requires a plastic jug of blue liquid. That fresh produce requires rapid turnover because you cannot prevent spoilage. That good cheese requires a premium refrigerated case and a price tag that makes it a small luxury rather than a staple. Sadie Yoder loads 6 gallons of white distilled vinegar into a buggy in a Walmart parking lot in October and feeds 6 people for $60 a week. And the entire system runs on a product that costs $3 a gallon and has been in continuous use in Amish kitchens since before there was a Walmart, before there was a grocery store, before there was a supply chain that needed you to be dependent on it to function. Here is what I want you to do this week. Buy 1 gallon of white distilled vinegar. $3. Take it home. Start with the produce wash. 1 part vinegar, 3 parts water, every piece of produce before it goes in the refrigerator. Do that for 2 weeks and watch what does not go bad that normally would have done. Then try the farmer's cheese. 1 gallon of whole milk, 1/3 cup of vinegar, 15 minutes. Tell me in the comments what you paid for the milk and what the equivalent amount of fresh cheese would have cost you at your local store. I am building a price comparison map by region, and I want your numbers. If you already use white vinegar in any of these ways, tell me which ones and what you have noticed about your grocery bill. Because the community that is building around these videos is the most useful resource I have found for validating what works across different regions, different household sizes, and different budgets. Your comment is not just sharing, it is adding to a record that is helping other people decide what to try first. The jar costs $3. The knowledge costs nothing. The Amish have known both of these things for 200 years. You know them now too. Next week, I am going to show you the Amish root cellar ventilation system that keeps produce fresh for 6 months without refrigeration. A storage method so effective that an Amish family in Wayne County, Ohio, pulled carrots in October and was still eating them in April. Crisp and sweet, with no power, no humidity control system, and no technology more complex than a drilled hole and a screened vent. The construction cost was $4 and a Saturday afternoon. Hit subscribe, because that one is going to change how you think about your refrigerator, the same way this one changed how you think about your cleaning cabinet.